Hey everybody, got 9 books back here from CGC. Why 9? Well, that's what I had. I didn't have a 10th, and I don't have to hit even numbers every single time. I'm not that OCD. I'm pretty close, but not that OCD. But let me get this thing unboxed, and let's see what's inside. Okay, we're ready to go. But before you ask, this is not the original. This is the 2024 McFarlane Toys variant. Comes inside the box when you buy this toy right here. Let's see. Yeah, I don't need all the variants of it, but I thought, why not? If this thing catches my eye and want to display it, why not go ahead and just submit the comic book and get the graded version as well. So yeah, let me set this back over here. So while it looks like $300 from the outside, actually if you open it up, it is $299 on the inside. And oh, before I forget, I got this put on the finger, a splint, and they did confirm it is broken for sure, like we didn't already know that. And they said I don't need surgery though, so that is good news. They said 6 weeks if all goes well with this on. If we can just keep this finger from bending at this joint right here. They said if it happens to accidentally bend right there, I might have to start the 6 weeks all over again. So I'm dedicated to keeping this annoying thing on my finger that is itching me and throbbing 24/7. But I am going to make it through. This is a little bit frustrating, but you know, life happens. Sometimes we have to deal with challenges, right? As far as things go, this is very, very minor in the grand scheme of things. So, back to this book. It had some flaws. When they put it down in the box, they actually bent it under, and there was actually a big bend right along, about that long, along the bottom of the book, all the way through, halfway through the book. It was almost not worth fooling with. I thought about just sending it back, buying another one. I was like, forget it. This will be a little challenge. I'll see if I can get that bend out. So I don't know, man. Even with it out, there might be a slight hint of a color break. It's kind of one of those where it looks like it could be from some angles and other angles not. So I just don't know. So this might be a 9.4 or 9.6, which is fine. I'll take it. But I thought overall, though, being pretty flawless except for where I repaired it there, it's pretty obvious 9.8 should be. So let's just see, what kind of grader are we going to get today? We're going to get the harsh one. They'll probably give us a 9.6. Are we going to get a normal one or a loose one, which will give us the 9.8? Okay, we did get the 9.8. Mission accomplished. So that is good. A very good start. I would have given this book 9.8. And so let's see. The back, as you can see, a little bit different than the original. See if I can find that little crease, bend, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I don't see it. I don't see it at all now. So apparently there's no reversion. Probably not going to show up on camera, which is fine. So I'll take it, man. 9.8 white pages to start. And, you know, that's a good way to have that book as a display book without paying, you know, the $3,000 or $2,500 or whatever it costs to get that book in 9.8 with the original. So, yeah. Really cool stuff. 310. This one's kind of been hard for me to get. I don't have this one in my collection. I've got 3 or 4 issues missing, and this is one of them. So, I mean, it just happens to be a newsstand, which is, I don't need the newsstand, but yeah, that doesn't matter anyway, because I don't think this is a 9.8. I have it as a 9.6 with an outside chance of 9.8. There's 2 tiny color breaks on the spine, and the top staple is just a little bit loose. There were multiple bends in the book, and yeah, other than that, you know, I guess you could call it a 3 or 4 defect book. It's just rather whether that staple, which actually is not uncommon for this book or this era of book, with a couple color breaks on the spine, can we still get the 9.8? I'm fully expecting 9.6 on this one, so let's just see what we get. We did get the 9.6, which not a big surprise. I kind of expected that to happen a lot. Yeah, you can kind of see where that hole's just a little bit bigger than it's supposed to be right there. Tried my best to clean that up, but yeah, it just wasn't 100% successful. But we'll take the 9.6 newsstand on this book. Very, very nice. All right. Moving back to the mid-70s, we got a Ghost Rider number 10. And this is a classic Hulk versus Ghost Rider cover. There was a pretty bad corner crunch here on the bottom that I was able to repair, probably 80%. There's some color break associated with it that I wasn't able to get. And there's the back bottom corner, I believe, has a tiny little crease to it. Other than that, beautiful book, pretty perfect otherwise. There might be one tick right there. But I think this is solidly a 9.4 with an outside chance of 9.6. This book has a lot of value in 9.4 and a 9.6, so I will take either. But I do have it as a 9.4, so let's just find out. We did get the 9.4, did get off-white pages, which that seems a little bit harsh. I don't remember this book having off-white pages. Usually I make a note of that. That's pretty crazy. But we'll take it. 9.4 of that book is pretty good. Next one is X-Men number 120, First Alpha Flight. I think it had newsstand and direct version. I don't know if there's a huge value between the two from this era. Probably shouldn't be. They were pretty much, I think there was still a lot more of the newsstands at that point. They hadn't shifted to directs. I don't think it became overwhelmingly directs until 1985-ish. But, you know, people maybe still did care for the directs a little bit better because they were purchased in comic shops. So that's a debate for another day. I don't know how much of the population has more of which. I know probably more of these, but maybe not quite as much value. I just don't know. So yeah, First Alpha Flight, pretty big book. This is 99.8. I have this as a borderline 9.4, 9.6. The book is pretty perfect, except there's just a handful of color breaks right here on the spine. We're fine here, but right here we got 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 tiny color breaks right here on the spine. That's just not going to allow us to get the 9.8. So we'll be happy with 9.4 or 9.6. We did get the 9.4. Now, I probably would think I would err on the side of 9.6 on this book, just because that's all there is on the book. So between that and the last book, we might have a greater slightly on the harsh side. Maybe not significantly harsh, but that usually when I think it's borderline 9.4, 9.6, 9.6, 9.8, I generally get the higher of the two grades just because I'm pretty conservative. So, yeah, we might have a little bit of harsh Harry's nephew or something here. But that's okay. I wasn't expecting 9.8s on many of these books anyway, so if you're going to get a harsh guy, it's much rather have him be harsh and get you a 9.4 versus a 9.6 than 9.8 versus 9.6, if that makes sense. All right, one of my favorite books, as you know, a lot of people's favorite book. I have it as an outside chance of 9.8, but that's it, outside. And I kind of have it in bold outside, like way outside. Like this is going to be a 9.6 probably. I guess the harsh guy could give it 9.4. I have it as a pretty solid 9.6. So I think 80% of the time this is 9.6, 10% 9.8, 10% 9.4, something like that. But the way this is trending though, I think this could be that 9.4, but let's just find out. Okay, we did get the 9.6 white pages on this one, which is right where I expected to be, so we'll take that. Very cool. And we got about, what, 4 more? ASM 252, First Black Suit, newsstand version here. I don't think this is similar to the last one, has no chance of 9.8, but I do think it has a very good chance of 9.6. There's a very, very tiny crease to the right side right here. Very, 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 very tiny. But that will keep us from getting the 9.8 and potentially the 9.6. But if you aren't looking for it, you won't find that. So just presentation-wise, this looks kind of like a 9.8. So yeah, we'll go ahead and just be happy with 9.4 or 9.6 with this one. And we did get the 9.4, which, yeah, I mean, I could see that. Once again, most graders are probably giving this 9.6. But yeah, 9.4. So we got a guy that just slightly more harsh than your average grader. That's it. And we got a pretty good number of books now, so we can be fairly certain that that's the case. But once again, not complaining on this one. If we're going to get him, let's get him on this one, not on like you know, where I got like 15, like, you know, obvious 9.8s, you know, and we get 9.6s on half of them. That would not be good. Okay, Daredevil 168, first Elektra newsstand edition here. Now, when I bought this one, it looked a lot better in the slab, and I thought, from what I could see in the photos, it looked like it had a great chance of 9.8. And when I got it in, looked at it through the slab, wow, great book, solid chance of 9.8. But then when I took it out, I noticed like some hint of some fraying along the spine, like some wear. Pretty heavy up, and I don't know about the word heavy, but heavier than you would expect in an ultra high grade book. It looked more like 9.0 in the slab. There's even a teeniest, tiniest hole in the spine right here, like a little, you know, tip of a pen. I actually have this as borderline 9.2, 9.4 now. So you know what? You win some, you lose some. This is probably going to be a 9.2, 9.0, but I'm fine with that because it presents, if you don't look from this angle, you know, it presents like a 9.8. So somebody's going to get a 9.2, 9.0, whatever, that presents like a 9.8. So this book will be pretty easy to sell at the top end of whatever that grade goes for. Let's just go ahead and see. Wow, okay, yeah. That's even harsher than I expected. And the book looks infinitely better now than it did when I got it in. I mean, we got, whoever sent this originally got loose Larry, like the loosest Larry in the entire building, the way it looked when I got it in, because it was also a little wrinkly, a little bendy. All the stuff over here could be fixed, and back here it was just this. This is the reason it's getting that 8.5, but it should have been 8.5, 8.0 maybe in the first place. So, yeah, sometimes it just goes that way. We just got a little bit unlucky, but, you know, it's fine. I mean, we'll eat that one. A little bit of a little unfortunate there, but that's okay. That's kind of why this submission is kind of like that. These are a bunch of books that I think, it's not worth pre-screening these books. They're not going to get 9.8s anyway, so why would I waste my time? And I collected these books over several months, 3 or 4 months. These are the ones that I couldn't really see myself pre-screening, so I kind of put them off. I was like, I'll just collect enough books just to submit them regular to get some of my money back. So these are kind of my few fails over the last 3 or 4 months. I'm going to lose money on these, but for every one of these that I lost money, I'm probably making money on 7 or 8 other ones that kind of offset that. And that's kind of the way this game is. I've talked about that in the past. That 1 out of 10 books you're just going to lose money on, but then that 8 out of 10 you're going to break even with this one, and then the other 7, 6, or whatever are profit. And that's just the way it's a numbers game, you know, kind of like, you know, being a poker player. Let's get to the last couple books here. I already have this one in 9.8, but I don't have it in 9.8 newsstand. I don't imagine it's not really something I have to have in newsstand. You know, when I had this as a kid, I had a 6.0 copy. It was a direct version. So whatever I had as a kid, even though I love newsstands, I don't have to have it in newsstand. So I'm fine with my 9.8 in direct copy. This one is not a 9.8 by any stretch of the imagination. I got it in a lot of 60 Transformers books. I think 1 to 60. I got a huge lot. Got a really good price on this book, and was hoping that I could maybe get a 9.6 out of it. But once I started working on it, I realized this is no better than a 9.4. Couldn't even get 9.2. And with this grader, it's going to be right there, 9.2, 9.4. There's some graders that'll give this 9.6, but not this guy, right? So let's go ahead. Oh, we did get the 9.4, which is right exactly where I was on the book, so we will take that. 9.4 newsstand version of this book is nothing to shake a stick at, so we will take that. Last one, and I saved this one for last because this one I have had like a year, and I've worked on it off and on over time, practicing. Yeah, it had canvassing on it, and I bought it specifically because it did have canvassing on it. I think it was an 8.5 with canvassing. So I'm like, I've had a book with canvassing before. I had a 9.4 Incredible Hulk 344, maybe? So yeah, I was able to remove 90% of the canvassing on that one. So I was like, okay, I got an 8.5, 9.0. Looks pretty perfect otherwise. Can I get the canvassing on and off and somehow get 9.6, 9.8 on this book? But once I got it in, I did 3 or 4 presses on it and nothing budged on it. It looked exactly the same. I took the tack iron, worked at it, pushed boundaries more than I probably should have on some areas, wouldn't budge. Eventually, I just nuked it with moisture, a little out of humidity. I don't recommend doing that, but, you know, it is what it is. I did it anyway. I went through a significant drying process afterward to keep some negative, some wrinkling or whatever from happening after that. And it started cleaning up a little bit. I would say I got 70% of the canvassing off this book. But it was in no way worth the days and hours that I spent working on this book. I mean, I'm going to probably lose a ton of money as far as labor hours go. But for the practice and trying to come up with a method to get rid of canvassing, it was worth it because I learned a lot of things about that. First thing is, don't use that, whatever that textured parchment paper, silicone paper, whatever it is, baking sheets. If it has any kind of texture to it, do not use it. I see this all the time. It's a shame these books have canvassing. Pressers out there are still using. I still get questions. They say, I use this certain type of sheet here, and they send a picture of it, and they're like, I'm like, please, come on. So anyway, what do I think this book is now? I would say it's a 9.2. With this level of canvassing, I've seen 9.6s. But I think overall, I would give this book 9.2, even though it presents like a 9.6. So yeah, 100% not expecting anything, especially with what we've seen from these other books. But let's just go ahead and find out. We got exactly the grade that I thought it would be, 9.2. So, swing and a miss on this one, but we'll be okay. I wonder if it got the note. Okay, so overall, we got pretty much the grades we were expecting. We didn't exceed the grades we were expecting, which we typically do. But on these books, it's fine. I wasn't expecting a bunch of 9.8s anyway, and we still got one 9.8 out of it. So we'll be happy overall. We'll be able to sell these books and buy some more, move right on. Now, I won't be working on my own books for a while. I can still work on books, but it's very slow and tedious. I have a few books for others, friends and such, that I'm working on right now. I have about 10 or 12 of those. I'm going to try to get through those in the next 2 weeks, and then I'm probably going to focus on content. Videos for you guys, videos for the community, my cleaning and pressing community, which you can learn more on improvecollecting.com. I actually have it set up to accept alpha members still, and I forgot to turn that off. I'm going to be moving into the beta, but I'm about to go on vacation for 3 or 4 days. I'll do that when I get back. So if you watch this video and you happen to still want to join, you can still get in at the alpha price until I get back in a couple days and remove that option. So yeah, very happy about the submission today. I'm not like jumping through the ceiling, but it's a learning experience. We have to keep that in mind. Everything, whether it's a super positive outcome, normal outcome, or even a negative outcome, it's all positive outcomes for me because I'm doing what I love right now. And yeah, you can't ask for more in life than that. So stay nerdy, and I'll see you in the next video.